Title: Why the world's first credit card was a disaster and changed everything. Hook: The dinner that almost broke a man. You need to picture a specific moment in New York City, 1949. It is a cold February evening, and a man named Frank McNamara is sitting in a restaurant called Major's Cabin Grill. This is not a cheap diner. It is a proper steakhouse where businessmen take clients when they want to close a deal over a good meal. McNamara is exactly that kind of guy. He runs a small business consulting firm, and tonight, he has a table full of potential clients. The steaks are good, the conversation is flowing, and the evening is going perfectly. Then the check comes. McNamara reaches into his pocket for his wallet, and his stomach drops. He left his cash at home. In 1949, this is not a minor inconvenience. This is a catastrophe. There is no debit card. There is no credit card. There is no Venmo or Apple Pay. There is only cash, and he does not have any. He has to look his clients in the eye and explain that he forgot his money. He has to call his wife from the restaurant's payphone and ask her to drive into the city with cash to pay for his dinner. She has to find a babysitter, drive through Manhattan traffic, and arrive at the restaurant to hand over a stack of bills like she is bailing her husband out of jail. The humiliation is complete. McNamara is a grown man, a successful businessman, and he has been reduced to a child who forgot his lunch money. His clients are awkward. His wife is annoyed. The restaurant staff is watching. This is not a grand vision of the future. There is no whiteboard with flowcharts. There is no team of venture capitalists. There is only a man who is deeply personally embarrassed. And that embarrassment, that raw, petty, everyday frustration, is the exact moment that the entire trillion-dollar credit card industry was born. Not from a banker's spreadsheet or a financier's dream of a cashless society. From a guy who forgot his wallet and never wanted to feel that stupid again. Introduction: Setting the stage. To understand how wild this story gets, you have to understand the world Frank McNamara was living in. The year is 1949. World War II ended 4 years ago. The American economy is booming, but the way people pay for things has not changed in a century. Cash is king. You carry a leather wallet stuffed with bills, and when the money runs out, you cannot buy anything. Checks exist, but they are slow and inconvenient. If you write a check at a restaurant, the owner has to trust you, and you have to have a bank account with enough money to cover it. Travelers' checks are for wealthy people going on vacation, not for a guy buying a steak dinner. The idea of eating a meal and paying for it later is basically unheard of outside of a local bar where you have a running tab. There is no concept of credit at the point of sale for everyday purchases. You cannot walk into a store, pick up a product and say, "Put it on my account," unless you have a personal relationship with the owner. The entire economy runs on immediate, physical exchange. Cash for goods. Done. There were some early experiments with charge plates. In the 1920s, department stores like Marshall Field's and Bloomingdale's issued metal or cardboard plates to their best customers. But those only worked in that specific store. You could not use your Bloomingdale's plate at a restaurant across town. It was not a payment system. It was a loyalty card for rich people. Frank McNamara is not a banker. He is not a financier. He is a business consultant who sells advice to small companies. He is a smart guy, but he is not sitting in a corner office on Wall Street. He is a middle-class professional who had a bad night and decided to do something about it. This is important because it means he sees the problem from the customer's perspective, not from the bank's perspective. He is not thinking about interest rates or collateral or risk management. He is thinking about the feeling of reaching for your wallet and finding nothing. So how does a humiliating dinner turn into a financial revolution that nearly destroys its creator? How does a man who forgot his wallet accidentally invent one of the most powerful economic forces in human history? And why did it almost kill him? Main point 1. The birth of an idea. A few weeks after the dinner at Major's Cabin Grill, McNamara meets with his lawyer, Frank Upton, and his friend Ralph Schneider. They are probably at another restaurant and they are probably laughing about the whole thing. McNamara tells them the story, and then he pitches an idea. What if there was a way to avoid this situation entirely? What if a person could carry a single card that multiple restaurants would accept and then pay for everything at the end of the month? The mechanism he describes is deceptively simple. Diners Club, as he calls it, will act as a middleman. They will sign up a network of restaurants. The restaurant agrees to accept a cardboard card from a Diners Club member. The member eats a meal, signs a receipt, and walks out the door without paying a cent. Diners Club then pays the restaurant the full amount of the bill minus a 7% fee. At the end of the month, Diners Club sends a single bill to the member, who pays the company directly. On paper, it sounds clean. But McNamara is missing a critical piece of the puzzle. He is a middleman who takes on all the risk. If a member eats a steak dinner and then refuses to pay his bill, Diners Club still has to pay the restaurant. McNamara is personally on the hook for every single transaction that happens under his system. He is not a bank. He has no way to run a credit check. He has no collection department. He has no capital reserves. He is essentially running a giant IOU system with no safety net whatsoever. This is the fundamental flaw that almost destroys him. He is building a service, not a financial product. He is creating a club, not a loan. The entire business model is based on trust, and trust is not a reliable currency. But in early 1950, McNamara does not see the danger. He sees opportunity. He and Schneider pool their savings and launch Diners Club with a grand total of about $15,000 in capital. That is not a lot of money. Even in 1950, it is barely enough to print the cards and rent a small office. The first card is not made of plastic. It is a piece of cardboard, about the size of a business card, with the member's name typed on it. It looks like something you would make in your basement with a laminating machine. There is no hologram, no chip, no magnetic stripe. It is a piece of paper that says, "I promise to pay you later." And McNamara is about to mail these pieces of paper to complete strangers. Main point 2, the chaotic launch. In February 1950, McNamara and his team mail out exactly 200 Diners Club cards. But they do not mail them to a carefully researched list of wealthy, credit-worthy individuals. They buy a mailing list from a magazine and blast the cards to every name on it. Some cards go to millionaires. Some cards go to deadbeats. Some cards go to people who do not even live in New York. They have no idea who their customers are. They are shooting in the dark. They also mail cards to 14 of their own friends. That is the entire marketing department. The strategy is not a strategy. It is hope. They hope people use the card. They hope people pay their bills. They hope the restaurants do not revolt. The restaurants, by the way, are immediately furious. McNamara goes to every restaurant owner in Manhattan and pitches the same deal. You give me 7% of every bill, and I will send you customers you have never seen before. The problem is that a typical restaurant in 1950 operates on a profit margin of about 6 to 8%. McNamara is asking them to hand over almost all of their profit for the privilege of letting a customer pay later. The restaurant owners feel scammed. They are doing the work. They are buying the ingredients. They are paying the cooks and the waitstaff. And McNamara wants to take a huge cut just for being the guy who sends a bill at the end of the month. McNamara has to convince them that the card brings in new business. He sells them a vision of customers who would not normally eat at their restaurant, people who are traveling through the city and want a convenient way to pay. In reality, most early cardholders are just shifting their existing spending. They are eating at the same places they always ate, but now they are using the card instead of cash. The restaurants are losing 7% of their revenue for no new customers at all. Despite this, McNamara manages to sign up 27 restaurants in the first month. It is not a lot, but it is a start. By the end of February 1950, Diners Club has 200 members and 27 restaurants. The total billing for the month is less than $10,000. The revenue is about $700. The expenses are much higher. They are losing money on every single transaction. And here is the nightmare that keeps McNamara awake at night. The more people use the card, the more money he loses. Every new member is a liability. Every new restaurant is a drain on his tiny capital reserves. He has built a business that grows by bleeding cash. It is the opposite of a sustainable model. He is trapped in a loop where success means bankruptcy. Main point 3, the near-death experience. Most people would have shut it down. McNamara does not. He doubles down, and he gets lucky. The first problem is fraud. People start using the cards, eating expensive meals, and then simply refusing to pay the bill. McNamara has no credit check system. He has no way to verify that a member is good for the money. He is just mailing bills and hoping for the best. When the money does not come, he has no recourse. He cannot repossess the steak dinner. He cannot garnish wages. He has a small office with a few employees and a stack of unpaid invoices. His desperate solution is to hire a collection agent. The man he hires is an old-school, brutal guy named Mac. Mac's job is to call people at 6 a.m. every day until they pay. He is the first debt collector in the credit card industry. This is the ugly, unglamorous reality of the business. The revolutionary financial product is being held together by a guy who screams at people over the phone before breakfast. The second problem is that the card is useless for everyday purchases. You cannot buy groceries with it. You cannot buy gas. You cannot buy clothes. It only works at restaurants and a handful of hotels. McNamara realizes that his product is a niche item. It is not a universal payment system. It is a convenience for traveling businessmen. So he pivots. He stops trying to make the card work for everyone and focuses entirely on the travel and entertainment market. He signs up hotels. He signs up car rental agencies. He signs up airlines. He becomes the T&E card, and this is the first time the business has a clear identity. It is not a grand strategic vision. It is a survival move. He is running out of money and running out of time, and he is betting everything on a single type of customer. The third problem is the cash flow. Remember the math. He pays the restaurant 93% of the bill immediately. He bills the customer for 100%. He keeps 7%, but the customer has 30 days to pay. That means Diners Club is fronting the money for an entire month. This is called the float, and it is absolutely devastating for a small company with no capital reserves. McNamara is taking out personal loans. He is borrowing from friends. He is running his business on credit cards before credit cards even exist. He is one bad month away from total bankruptcy. One wave of unpaid bills, one economic downturn, one restaurant revolt, and the whole thing collapses. If stories like this one make you see the financial world differently, hit subscribe. I dig up forgotten histories like this every week, and I do not want you to miss the next one. Then he gets a lucky break. A group of investors, including a man named Alfred Bloomingdale from the famous department store family, sees the potential. They inject cash into the company. They do not do it because the business is profitable. They do it because they see a future monopoly. They understand the network effect better than McNamara does. They realize that once enough restaurants accept the card, enough people will want to carry it. And once enough people carry the card, every restaurant will have to accept it. It is a self-reinforcing loop. They are betting on the future, not the present. Main point. 4. The spark of the revolution. Diners Club survives, and then it thrives. By the end of 1951, the company has over 40,000 members and more than 300 merchant locations. The network effect kicks in, and suddenly the card becomes valuable in a way that nobody predicted. A businessman in Chicago can fly to New York, eat at a restaurant, stay at a hotel, and rent a car, all without carrying a single dollar. This is the first time a payment system has been geographically portable. It is not tied to a specific store or a specific city. It works everywhere the network reaches. This is the moment the revolution actually begins. McNamara did not invent credit. People have been borrowing money since the invention of currency. But he invented a system where the trust is portable. You do not need to know the restaurant owner. You do not need to have a personal relationship. You just need the card. The card represents a promise that a third party will pay on your behalf. The cultural shift is massive. Having a Diners Club card is not just a convenience. It is a status symbol. It means you are a business traveler. It means you are successful. It means you are trusted by the system. It is the first prestige plastic, and people want it for the same reason they want a luxury watch or a nice car. It signals something about who they are. But there is a dark side. People start using the card to impress clients. They spend more than they have, eat at expensive restaurants they cannot afford, and then scramble to pay the bill at the end of the month. The foundation of modern consumer debt is laid right here, not in a bank boardroom, but in a steakhouse in New York. McNamara also makes a critical decision that saves him in the short term but costs him everything in the long term. He keeps Diners Club as a charge card, not a credit card. Members have to pay the full balance every single month. There is no interest. There is no revolving credit. McNamara does not want to be a bank. He does not want to lend money. He just wants to be a middleman who takes a cut. This decision keeps the business simple and avoids the regulatory nightmare of banking laws. But it also leaves the most profitable part of the industry on the table. Main point 5. The legacy and the fall. Diners Club wins the first battle. It invents the industry, proves the concept, and builds the first network. But it loses the war. In 1958, American Express enters the market. Amex already has an existing network of travelers check offices around the world. They have a better brand, more capital, and a more aggressive marketing team. They launch a card that is more prestigious and more widely accepted. Within a few years, Amex surpasses Diners Club in membership and revenue. The real killer comes from the same year. Bank of America launches the Bank AmeriCard in Fresno, California. This card is different. It is a true credit card. It allows members to carry a balance and pay interest. It is issued by a bank, which has the capital to handle the float and the legal infrastructure to collect debts. The banks have deposits. They have credit systems. They have the ability to offer interest and fees that make the real money. Diners Club cannot compete. It is a middleman with no bank behind it. It cannot offer revolving credit because it does not have the capital to lend. It cannot expand as fast as the banks because it does not have their resources. The company that invented the credit card industry becomes a footnote in its own story. Diners Club is sold, resold, and eventually becomes a niche product for corporate travel. It still exists today, but it is a shadow of what it could have been. Frank McNamara retired from the company in the early 1960s. He died in 1986, having seen his invention transform the global economy, but having lost control of it decades earlier. The final irony is this: McNamara's genius was in solving a social problem. He saw the embarrassment of being unable to pay and created a solution. But his failure was in not understanding the financial machine he had built. He created a network, but he did not own the money that flowed through it. The banks did. The first mover rarely wins. The winner is the one who can sustain the model, and Diners Club proved the concept while Visa and MasterCard perfected it. Closing. The card in your pocket. Every time you swipe a credit card today, you are using a system invented by a guy who forgot his wallet in 1949. The plastic in your pocket is a direct descendant of that cardboard card. The network effect that makes your card work in Tokyo, London, and Buenos Aires was first demonstrated by Diners Club. The idea that you can pay later without a personal relationship with the merchant was tested and proven by Frank McNamara. But the story is also a warning. It shows that innovation is not the same as success. It shows that the person who invents something is rarely the person who profits from it. It shows that the most powerful economic forces are not created in boardrooms. They are created by frustration, embarrassment, and the simple human desire to never feel stupid again. So the next time you pay for a coffee with a card, or order something online, or split a dinner bill with friends, think about Frank McNamara sitting in that restaurant, reaching for his wallet and feeling his stomach drop. He solved his problem. He just did not realize how big the problem was or how fast it would grow. And that is why the world's first credit card was a disaster that changed everything. If you want to see the other side of this story, check out my video on how Bank of America turned that cardboard card into a trillion-dollar empire. It shows you exactly how the banks took over and what McNamara missed.